My family, who hadn't spoken to me in years, invited me to my brother's wedding, only for my father to kick me out and my stepmom to insult my income. The moment I walked out, 25 of my staff came and took back all the food, leaving 300 guests hungry. They forgot to check who owned the catering company. This is a rephrased narrative of the script you provided. I've woven together the 3 updates into a single story, replacing repetitive phrasing with more descriptive language and ensuring a smooth, coherent flow from beginning to end. I've always been driven by the need to create something tangible from my own effort. That drive was the seed of my catering business, a journey that started humbly with a single food truck during my college days. Over a decade, that small operation grew, brick by brick, into a full-service catering company with a staff of over 50, serving high-end events across the greater Chicago area. The path was long and demanding, marked by sleepless nights, personal sacrifices, and a relentless dedication that ultimately forged something I'm profoundly proud of. This background is crucial to understanding the events that unfolded at my younger brother, Mark's, wedding, a day that descended into an absolute fiasco. For nearly 6 years, I had maintained a deliberate distance from my family. The schism began after my mother's death when I was 14. My father remarried Jenny within a year, and from the start, my new stepmother made her intentions clear. She wanted no remnants of my mother's memory in our home. My father, in his haste to move on, allowed it, a decision that created a deep and lasting rift between us. My brother, then only 10, found solace in Jenny, but I struggled to accept her abrupt, controlling presence. The real breaking point, however, came during my college years. While I juggled multiple jobs to fund my education, my father refused to offer me any financial assistance, insisting I needed to learn responsibility. The irony was not lost on me, as he was simultaneously bankrolling Mark's entire education at an expensive private university. The disparity in our treatment was impossible to ignore. Jenny, who had a thinly veiled disdain for my ambition, never missed a chance to belittle my fledgling catering business. She would refer to it condescendingly as playing with a food truck, while endlessly praising Mark's real career in finance. After college, I kept my distance, only attending holidays to keep up appearances. The final and definitive fracture occurred 6 years ago, when my father and Jenny sold our childhood home without my knowledge. I only learned of it after they had moved into a new place. By then, all of my mother's remaining belongings, the few things I had hoped to keep, were gone. When I confronted my father, his response was to dismiss my feelings, telling me I was being overly emotional and needed to move on. In that moment, I realized I had to, and I severed all ties. Last month, I was shocked to receive a formal wedding invitation from Mark. It came with a heartfelt handwritten note expressing how much he missed me and his desire to mend our relationship. After careful consideration, I decided to give it a chance. As a gesture of goodwill, I even offered to cater the event at a significant discount, but Mark politely declined, explaining they had already hired a company. I was a bit deflated, but I pushed the feeling aside. The wedding was at a picturesque venue in Lake Forest. I arrived feeling a flicker of hope, and Mark's genuine joy at seeing me was a welcome relief. But Jenny's hostility was immediate. She met me with snide remarks about my appearance and my business, which I tried to ignore. The seating arrangement was a stark reminder of my place in the family hierarchy. I was relegated to a table with distant cousins I barely knew, a deliberate act to underscore my status as an outsider. The reception quickly unraveled. A visibly intoxicated father approached my table and, with slurred venom, began berating me. He accused me of showing up uninvited despite the formal card I held in my pocket, and declared my presence an embarrassment that was ruining Mark's big day. Before I could even react, Jenny chimed in with her biting sarcasm, questioning how much I was making, playing restaurant owner these days, and implying I couldn't afford the suit I was wearing. The sheer gall of their performance in front of a crowd left me speechless. Knowing there was no point in engaging, I simply got up and began walking out. On my way to the car, I noticed the catering staff setting up the main course. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized several faces. These were my employees. It dawned on me. The company Mark and Jenny had booked was a business we had recently acquired. The former owner had remained as a manager, so I hadn't been involved in the specific event planning, but legally, the contract and the event were now under my company's control. A quick call to my operations manager confirmed my suspicion. This was our event. The words of my father and stepmother echoed in my mind, an embarrassment, ruining the wedding. If my presence was so offensive, then surely my company's service was equally unwanted. I made a decisive call, instructing my staff to pack up and leave immediately. Within 15 minutes, the entire crew had loaded all the food and equipment back into our trucks and were gone. Chaos descended. 300 guests were left with no main course or dessert. My father attempted to intervene, but he was powerless. The contract they had signed contained a clause that allowed for the immediate termination of services in the event of hostile or discriminatory behavior toward our staff or ownership. I left my business card with the venue manager and told her to direct any payment disputes to my lawyer. The fallout was instantaneous. My phone exploded with messages from family members accusing me of being selfish and petty. Mark sent a long text saying I had ruined his wedding and validated Jenny's opinion of me. My father threatened legal action. I forwarded all their communications to my lawyer and blocked their numbers. Surprisingly, a few guests who had witnessed the scene began to reach out. They were appalled by my family's behavior and impressed by how professionally my team had handled the situation. This unexpected support was a reminder that not everyone was blind to the truth. As the story spread through social circles, Mark's colleagues and friends learned of the drama, and Jenny's carefully constructed image began to crumble. She tried to deflect blame, but the truth was out. The legal battle that followed was as draining as it was predictable. My lawyer and I moved preemptively, sending a formal letter to my father's attorney. We highlighted the contractual clause and mentioned the venue's security footage, which had captured the verbal assault. Their response was a demand for a full refund and compensation for damages caused by the ruined wedding. My lawyer and I countered with a settlement offer. We would refund 50% of the deposit in exchange for them signing a non-disclosure agreement and a full release of claims. While we waited for their answer, Jenny continued her harassment. She attempted to post defamatory reviews online, but the venue manager, who had witnessed her behavior firsthand, blocked her. She then escalated by contacting my employees and business partners, trying to spread false rumors about my character. We swiftly sent her a cease and desist letter, making it clear that any further actions would be treated as defamation. In the midst of this, a business associate gave me some illuminating insights. Apparently, Jenny had been a nightmare for all the wedding vendors for weeks, making last-minute changes and condescending remarks to the professional staff. The chaos at the reception was just the culmination of her relentless meddling. Finally, after what I can only imagine was a contentious conversation between my father and Jenny, they agreed to our settlement. The legal dispute was over, but the personal repercussions were just beginning. Through mutual acquaintances, I learned that the incident had caused a major rift between Mark and his new wife. Appalled by how I had been treated, she had confronted him, demanding he stand up to his parents and grow a spine. Their argument was so severe they postponed their honeymoon. This news, while validating, felt like a heavy burden. I was angry with Mark for his silence, but I also recognized the immense pressure he had been under for years. He soon reached out through a cousin, admitting his guilt and asking to meet. When we finally sat down for coffee, he broke down, apologizing for years of complicity. He revealed that Jenny had been financially manipulating the family, putting most of their assets, including a portion of his condo, in her name. He was blindsided, realizing his life had been an illusion of control. Now, with the support of his wife, he was working with a financial advisor to reclaim his independence. Mark's wife later shared more good news. They were in couples counseling and actively searching for a new condo, one that would be solely theirs. They were even planning a small vow renewal ceremony to establish a new definition of family, free from the toxicity of my father and Jenny. As for my father and stepmother, the NDA silenced their public attacks. but their social standing, which they valued so highly, was in jeopardy. The truth of their actions had spread, and their carefully crafted narrative was now in tatters. The entire ordeal has taught me a powerful lesson about the importance of boundaries. Standing firm in my truth, despite the short-term chaos, led to unexpected growth and healing. My company, in a strange twist of fate, has seen a surge in bookings from guests who were impressed by our professionalism. I also met with my employees to thank them, and their loyalty and appreciation for our strong company culture were profoundly heartwarming. While I have no desire to re-enter the toxic dynamic with Jenny and my father, I am cautiously optimistic about rebuilding my relationship with Mark. It's a journey that will take time, but now that he is ready to set his own boundaries, I believe there's a real chance for genuine reconciliation. Life is too short for toxic relationships, but it is never too late for healing.